Information isn't your problem. See, James 1:5 says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him." So let me ask this. Have you ever noticed that we live in a world overflowing with information? Yet people seem more confused than ever. I mean, we have Google, we have YouTube, we have podcasts, we have AI, we have experts everywhere. Every answer is literally sitting in our pocket. And yet, anxiety is rising, loneliness is rising, depression is rising, confusion is rising. And why that is because information and wisdom are not the same thing. See, most people think their biggest problem is that they don't know enough. And that's not what James is saying here. He says something different. When James writes these words, he's not writing to people whose lives are just easy. He's writing to believers who are facing trials, pressure, suffering, uncertainty. We can definitely say life just isn't going according to plan for them. And right in the middle of that struggle, he says, if any of you lacks wisdom. And notice he doesn't say, if any of you lacks answers, if any of you lacks information or an escape plan, right? He says, if any of you lacks wisdom. Because the real question isn't, how do I get out of this? The real question is, how do I walk through this faithfully? The Greek word that James uses refers to wisdom, not merely knowing facts, but knowing what to do with those facts. And that's where most of us get stuck, right? So imagine two people standing at the edge of a forest. The first person has a backpack that's filled with information. He's got maps, GPS coordinates, weather reports, plant identification books, survival manuals. He knows everything there is to know about the forest. Then you've got the second person who's spent 30 years walking those woods. He knows where the ground gets soft after the rain. He knows which trails look safe but leads nowhere. He knows where water can be found during a drought. He knows a storm is coming before the clouds even show up. See, one knows about the forest, the other knows how to navigate it. That's wisdom. And honestly, most of us already know more than enough to improve our lives. We know we should forgive. We know we should pray. We know that we should trust God. We know we should spend time with our families. We know that we should stop worrying. So the issue usually isn't information. The issue is application. See, knowledge fills the mind, but wisdom transforms the life. And that's why James doesn't tell us to ask God for more facts. He tells us to ask God for wisdom. And then James says something beautiful. He says, God gives wisdom generously and without reproach. Don't miss that. God doesn't respond like a frustrated teacher. He doesn't say, you should know this by now. How many times are you going to ask me the same question? Right? He doesn't say, when are you finally going to figure it out? No, he doesn't do that. James says he gives generously. That's without shaming, without mocking, without reminding you of every mistake that you've made. Think about a child who comes to a loving father and says, Dad, I don't know what to do. A loving father doesn't roll his eyes. He helps. James says that's exactly how God responds when we ask for wisdom. And maybe That's the encouragement that some of us need today. Because I know some of us are standing maybe in the middle of a situation that doesn't make sense. It could be a marriage struggle, a financial challenge, maybe a health issue, a decision about the future. And we've spent all our energy praying, Lord, get me out. Meanwhile, God may be inviting us to pray something different. Lord, show me how to walk through this. Because sometimes the greatest miracle isn't that God immediately changes the circumstance. Sometimes the greatest miracle is that He changes us while we're walking through it. So if you're facing a difficult decision, ask for wisdom. If you're waiting on an answer, ask for wisdom. If life just does not make sense right now, ask for wisdom. Not merely, Lord, remove this, but Lord, teach me how to walk through this in a way that honors you. Because James doesn't promise every trial disappears overnight. But what he does promise is this: God will generously provide the wisdom you need for the next step. And often, the next step is exactly what we need most. You may not need another article, another podcast, another video, another opinion. Maybe today you simply need wisdom for what you already know. Because the person who knows the most usually isn't the one who thrives. The person who applies God's wisdom is. James 1:5, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. Thanks, guys. Keep building.